Nianti, it's your boy Dr. Dio, and today we're dealing on matters legal. In particular, we're dealing with the questions that are being, or the legal issues that are being, or legal terminology that are being thrown out in the media. Things like burden of proof, the Supreme Court, the Constitution. We're going to break them down to simple, understandable English. Now, for this particular video, I'm dealing with the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court. First of all, why is it referred to as the apex court? Next, we're going to be dealing with questions of why does it have 7 judges? What does it mean by following precedent or setting precedent? The Supreme Court, as constituted, has 7 judges. Now, this is deliberate because if you have an even number, let's say 8 judges, then you can easily reach a decision. It could be easily envisage a situation where the judges reach a decision where 4 judges decide in a particular way and the other 4 judges decide in the other way. So it's important to have an odd number such that it could actually break the tie. So you can have a decision 5-2, or you could have a decision 3-4. Now, why is 7 in particular? Now, if you say 7, it's significant because you'll have 4 judges who decide in a particular way in the toughest of legal issues, and 3 in a particular way. Now, when you have 4, you're almost certain that these judges are deciding in the most just or fairest manner. Now, you could arguably say you should have a situation where you have 9 judges, as it is in the UK Supreme Court. Then in that instance, again, you could have 5-4. Again, it's more suitable, but the founders, or rather the writers of the Constitution, decided 7 judges is suitable for the Kenyan circumstances. Okay, so where does the Supreme Court get its power from? So the Supreme Court gets its power, or its mandate, from obviously from the Constitution of Kenya. Now, does it have jurisdiction to hear civil and criminal matters? Yes, it does have jurisdiction to hear civil and criminal matters. The matter before the court right now relating to the petition is a civil matter. Okay, so that means it's between 2 individuals, not the state and an individual. That will be a criminal matter, so it's between 2 individuals. Now, can you appeal a decision from the Supreme Court? It depends on the matter. So obviously we have the the East African Court of Justice, which is very similar to the European Court of Justice. But anyway, so we have the East African Court of Justice, to which you can appeal certain cases. But generally with election matters, particularly the presidential petition, then it is very unlikely to envisage where you have a situation where the East African Court is deciding on a matter that relates to presidential petition. Okay, so that's why we're referring it to as the apex court, or the highest court in the land. So whatever decision it makes, it's final. And again, I come back to my point. That's why it's important to have at least 4 judges deciding in a particular way, such that we get the majority ruling there. So when you have 4 judges deciding rather than 2 or 3, then you have a more certain, a more assurance that there is a due process that has been followed in reaching that particular decision. So what is case law? Now, case law, some people call it judge made law. That is incorrect. So we are demystifying the myth here. So case law is judge developed law. So the judges do not have the power to create the law or make the law, as you might think, but rather they have the power to develop the law. So where there is a lacuna, so for example, there is something that has not been defined in a statute, Parliament has created the law, it has not defined a particular issue, then the courts are there to develop the law. They will come up with a definition. Or if there is a particular principle that has not been legislated by Parliament, then in that instance, the court will now create the law around that issue. I think one of the most common example I could use to illustrate this point is the law of negligence, right? So duty of care. You owe a duty of care to your neighbor. When you're driving, you owe a duty of care to the pedestrians. that is a good example, or that's the example of an area to which the judges actually developed the law. Okay, so what is case precedence? So once the courts develop the law, the judges develop the law, they develop something we call case law. Now, if it is being developed by the senior courts, High Court, Court of Appeal, and the Supreme Court, then the lower courts are actually bound by it. That means if you have a case with similar facts as the one that earlier was decided, the lower courts will follow the decision of the High Court, or the higher courts, or the senior court. Now, the Supreme Court, where obviously the election petition is happening, does not have to follow its previous rulings. So it can follow its previous rulings, but then it can decide to distinguish or overturn. No, these are two different things. Now, distinguish is basically saying, okay, these are similar facts, but there's an exception here. Okay, so this case is a bit different in this way. Overturning a decision is saying, okay, yes, we made that decision earlier on, but on consideration of facts now, there might be social or legal issues that have actually been brought up by this current case that we need to rethink the way we made the decision, so we are overturning the decision. So when people talk about overturning the decision, when people talk about precedent, when people talk about distinguishing, when people talk about case law, now you understand what that means.